Hi guys, welcome to the live coding session. We are in day three, one more day to go. Hi, Steve, I can see you. Welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Right, so today we are just going to continue on our live coding session from where we stopped. Now, last class we took a look at basic prompting, how to write prompts that the AI will be able to, in such a way that the AI can give us what we want or how we want it to be. We also learned that in order for us to get accurate results, we need to provide as much clarity and context when we are, writing this prompt. So we saw some coding in our last class, we saw some practicals, and yeah, we learned the basic of prompting in our last class. So today we are actually going to be looking at some advanced prompt techniques. So let me just share my screen so that we can quickly go through the slides and jump into the practical. Using my phone. Okay. Please confirm that you can see my screen, or confirm that you can see my screen. Asif, Anisha, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, cool. So we are going to be looking at advanced prompt technique today. We want to see other ways of writing good prompts. So just move on to the next slide. Okay, so like I said, we want to look at advanced prompt techniques. We want to understand how it works and provide more greater control on how the output of the model look or the result look like. So the first advanced way of writing a prompt is called but the one we want to look at, not like it's the first generally, but it's the first one we're looking at today. It's chain of thought prompting. Okay. So the this is the technique we want to discuss. Now this approach is like step by step, right? It's like giving it your thought process on how you want it to go about generating your results. Okay. So it's not just asking for the end result, it's about guiding the AI through a thought process to reach a logical conclusion. Okay. So for example, say we want to write an AI, we want the AI to write a persuasive essay, okay, on the benefits of solar energy. We wouldn't just tell it to write an essay. Instead, we would break it down into parts. Okay. So how we can go about it, we can say start with listing. This is like you giving it your chain of thought, right? Your thought process. You can say start with listing the advantages of solar energy, such as being clean, renewable, and cost effective. Okay, so that's you telling it where you should start from. Then you're like, okay, after you've done this, the next thing you should do is explain how using solar energy reduces dependency on fossil fuel. So that's like the second thing you're asking it to work on. Then finally emphasize the environmental and economic benefits that comes from switching to solar. So these three steps, it's basically just um how you want AI to go about generating the result for you. You've given it three steps that you should follow, right? So this method ensures that the AI produces a detailed and structured essay rather than a generic one. we have another. Please, you know the deal. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and call my attention so that I will attend to you. So we have another example. That's few shots, the few shot learning. So how is this different from the chain of thought? So moving on to few shot learning, these techniques harnesses the power of example, right? So it's like you're teaching someone how to recognize objects by showing them a few photographs. Okay, so it's like maybe the police wants to go and arrest someone. Let's assume the police is a model. So you're showing the policeman, okay, this is the person I'm looking for. Let's say we're looking for a missing person. So with that sample picture you've given to the policeman, I mean, the police department will be able to, narrow down their search and have in mind, okay, this is who I'm looking for. So that's what this use short learning is all about. So like I said, it's like teaching someone to recognize objects by showing them a few photographs or asking them to identify these objects in new images. So it's similar with AI. If we want to generate creative social media posts for a product launch, we don't just give simple instructions. Instead, we provide the AI with examples of effective posts. So what you can do, you could show it a well-crafted tweet or Instagram caption or Facebook update. Okay. So this example serves as templates, helping the AI to understand the desired style, tune, and content that you want to generate. Okay. So we've seen the chain of thought, we've seen the few shot learning. And this few shot learning it significantly improves the AI ability to produce targeted and relevant output, right? That's the maybe the audience want to pay. Okay, so I'm not going to conclude on these few ones. So using these advanced prompt engineering techniques, we can guide AI more effectively, achieving high quality results tailored to specific needs. Let's go on to the next slide. Using a OpenAI API. So it's starting to get more practical. Don't worry, we are soon going to jump on a practical notebook and see how it works. Okay, so today we are going to be exploring how to make use of OpenAI using the OpenAI API. Okay, so with the help of OpenAI API, which we are going to see in some few minutes, we will be able to interact with AI models. Okay, so instead of manual intervention, we can engage directly with the AI capabilities through codes. So this approach is not only efficient but also scalable, right? To get more ability to tune it the result to probably how you want it to look like. Accessing the API key registration. Um, I mean, I don't know if there's anyone here that doesn't know where to find the API key on the website. I wouldn't know, but yeah, let me see if I can just search that now. So it's like Open AI. Okay. So that's the link I was supposed that you saw on the slide. So we can let me go to the side. So for those of us that probably don't know where to find the key, this is Open AI. So you can come to you need to log in first. Okay. So please just give me a sec. Let me um just give me a sec. I mean Can you hear me? Please, guys, I'm coming. I'm trying to open it so that I can just show it to us. Okay. Okay. It's taking time to. Okay, I'm in. So let me just share this side of my screen. Sorry for the delay. I'm just going to share this one. Please confirm that you can see this OpenAI interface. Can you guys see this OpenAI documentation? Welcome to OpenAI developer. Hello, can anyone see this part of my screen? Grade one, Tanisha, please confirm that you can see this part of my window. Welcome to OpenAI developer platform. Uh, Hello, can you guys still hear me? Please, someone should unmute his
Yes,
or
sir.
herself. Okay. Can you see this? Welcome to OpenAI developer platform.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, so for this is actually OpenAI. That's after you must have logged in. After you must have logged in. So where you can get the key is here. So once you've logged in, you can access the key by coming to this sidebar, and then you go to API keys. So once you click on OpenAI key, you should be able to generate or create a key by clicking on this plus icon. Okay. So once you click on it, it's going to ask you, it's going to ask you to put in the key name. So this one is totally optional. Then if you have multiple projects, you can choose the project. So once you are done, you just click on the create key. So it's going to go ahead and create a new key which you are going to be using for your code. And I'll show us where we are going to put it in the code. But that's just the process. So you just log into your OpenAI interface, come to the left panel, click on API keys, then you can click on create. And you should know that once you create the key, you need to save it. You need to save it somewhere, right? Because once they show you the key, you can't see it again. Can't see it again. All right, so that's the process. Let's go back to our slide. Okay, I want to believe we can see the slide. So I've just shown us how to get the OpenAI key, and we should know that when it comes to the coding part, we have different other languages, right? So the one we use or we are going to use is Python, but we can also access or make use of the API key using Java and JavaScript, right? So we're going to be using that key to authenticate this authentication on our local environment, right? So that we can be able to access the models we want to make use of. We're also going to be making some, we're also going to be making some API keys. So we're also going to be making some API calls, I meant to say. So the API functions as a messenger between your code and the OpenAI model. right? So we are going to be sending in some from code, and the API will forward this to the AI and then return the response, right? So I'm talking about making API calls. Okay. So using the Open API, we can integrate the powerful API functions into your applications. We all know by now that most of applications that are currently being built, most people are integrating all these AIs into it, and they are able to achieve that using APIs because they need to integrate it. And when you are making use of those applications and maybe you are doing something that has to do with models, maybe you are trying to summarize a text, something in the application, it's actually still making calls through the API, which you obviously won't see it on the front end. Okay. So using this open API, we can integrate the API to we can integrate the models rather to our application. Okay. So on the next slide is a practical demo. This is just a snapshot of one of the code we are still going to write, or we are still going to see how it works. So in the code, we can see where the open that key once you generate it, where you see your open API key is actually where you're going to put it. We're actually going to see it in the notebook. Then we import open API, access the key, then we start making calls. Making calls means writing prompts, right, and getting a response. So this is just a snapshot of one of the code we are going to be running. So step by step, importing the open API library. So once you import the OpenAI library, you set the API key, and please be careful not to push it like probably to the public. Maybe if you are doing something on your own and maybe you're working on your portfolio, don't mistakenly send it out. If someone should see it, you know what will happen. So it's your money that would be counted, right? So try not to expose your API key. All right. Let's just quickly run over this. I'm still going to explain the code. But yeah, what we saw in the code, the engine, the prompt, the mark token, some of these things we're already familiar with them. The stop, the temperature. Okay, so this is just me explaining them in as much as we're still going to see it in the code. So the engine was defining the model, the prompt, right, was actually where we passed in the actual prompt we want to work with. And determines how many version of the response we want to get. Stop is an optional parameter to define the stopping points for generation. Why temperature, as we all know, is to adjust the creativity of the response. So setting it to 0.7 adds more balance between randomness and coherence. Then we can also access and display the response using, you see the last print command there. So this is just a practical demonstration showing how we can make use of the API. Okay. I think that's all. So let me just conclude so that we can jump into the code. Okay, so as we are still going to be still going through the codes, we are also going to see the advanced prompt engineering that we talked about. When we started, we are going to see how chain of thought works. We are going to see how few shot learning works, right? So these methods are not just refined to how we instruct the models, but can also enhance the quality and relevance of our output. So we're also going to be exploring the open API key, and yeah, we'll see more of it in the practical session. Does anyone have any question from me so that we just jump into the notebook? Any question before we jump into the notebook?
Hello. Okay, quick one. In the tutorials, one of the parameters in the OpenAI this thing a method that we use to send out the APIs and back. We have model as a parameter where we indicate the type of model we're using for the API call. But here I'm seeing engine. I don't know whether they are interchangeable. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay.
So, I wrote mine, but I don't know if you guys noticed. Someone made mention of it's actually working. You can interchange them, right? So I was going to talk about me making use of let's say the current parameter. They made some changes to some of their models to take some code, which we have already made changes to that. But yeah, you can interchange them. If you use model, it's actually going to work very fine. And we are going to experiment on that. If you also use the engine, it's going to work fine too.
Secondly, if I get let's say I've exhausted the number of calls on the API key that I got for free initially, and I get a new one. How long does a free, like a trial version of these OpenAI API key last for? How many calls can you use them for? How many just give
Okay.
us an idea of how
Yeah.
long it will be able to serve you if you are to get like a fresh key and you don't have to pay for anything at first.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just go back to that place. And can you see this project API keys? Can you see this
Okay.
project API keys?
Yes, I can
Yeah.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to take us to the pricing. All those information you're asking, you see it on the pricing. In, oh, I don't have it. Sorry. I don't to say pricing. Then I'm also going to show you if it's necessary the usage of the one I'm working on. Okay, so first of all, you can find it on the usage. That is how much of your money is going, right? So this one you're seeing is actually the ones I've been working on. And trust me, I've made use of the current key I'm using. I've made several calls, right? Because I've created like lots of code. But then you can see that it it depends on it depends on the context or the first of all, it depends on the engine you're using. This is why I want to show us that pricing page. Depending on the kind of engine you are using, it also depend on what you are doing. But everything you can always track it on the usage on this usage place, like how much you are spending, right? So if maybe you have maybe $10 or so, you can be tracking how much you are spending. As you can see that so far, based despite the fact that I have done several calls, right, I can see that I've spent just less than $0.01. And this is just because it's just little code. But I'm sure that there are some engines you may make use of that would require why does it keep bouncing me out? That will require you to I'm trying to find the hold on. I'm trying to find that place. Again, take me back there. So yes, there are some models you use that will consume a lot of tokens. And it also depends on how many this thing, the context of the length of your text. When you say tokens, you're literally referring to the prompt, how long it is, and how heavy or the kind of thing you are doing. So all those things contribute to how much you are spending. So the place I'm looking for, can't find it. Can't find it. I wish I can find what I'm looking for.
So is there minimum amount of money you can pay? Can I
Yeah,
say I saw you deposited $10. Can I deposit like something like maybe $3, for instance? Given
I think
that I don't need to use much. Is it
think
optional, the amount of money you
think
pay?
five. I think let's look at what I'm looking for here. This
Okay.
is what I'm looking for. So as you can see, so for this model, if you're making use of it, I think you can start with as little as $10. And this is when maybe all you are doing is sending in the prompt and you are not probably taking out tools like maybe getting a data set as we talk. I don't know if you've seen it before in action, but you can generate slides and
I
files for you.
understand.
So maybe this is what they're trying to refer. Yeah. So this is actually the least amount you can have to use this particular model. So these are all the different prices, and this is per million token. So this token is like how it's just your prompt, right? And
Yes.
how often you are sending it. So there are different prices. I think this is actually where the lowest one is, and it's as slow as 0.5 per 1 million token. So you can see that despite that was why that one I showed you, it wasn't even close to 0.1 because I've done several calls and I'm using that particular model I just showed you. I'm making use of this ChatGPT 5 to do, and not this one. So you can if you just with $5. Why I say $5 is I think the minimum amount, or I don't know if they've changed it, but when you're trying to fund your account, there's always a minimum amount. So I think it's $5 you can start, probably that $10. But rest assured, you can actually use it to cover a lot of things, so long as you're not making use of a heavy model or yeah. So you can always go through the pricing list to take note of the prices and then also take note of the model you are making use of. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes, I do.
All right,
Um,
cool. So let's just jump back to our notebook. All right, so I think yeah. Does anyone have any other question?
Yes, I have.
Okay, yeah, go on.
All right. So, I see. We are going to be making use of fine tuning in the course. So, is there a way we can go about it apart from making payments, or is it must we make payments?
Okay. The thing is you have two options, or let's say there are two available options, right? And last I checked, you can always open a new account. I think you just need to use a number that has never been used before. I don't really remember the logic, or an email that has not been used before, but I know there's something they usually track. So it's either the number or the Gmail. So if it is completely new, you can always create a new account and you have the 3 months is it I think it's $10 off. They usually give for 3 months. Yeah. So that's the first thing you can do. Maybe create a new account with a whole new credentials and if possible a new number. I think it's the number they're always tracking. So that's one way to go about it. And you know what the second one is? It's just for you to make the sacrifice and make the payment. And I think once you make the payment, it's your money, and it should be able to cover or be enough to cover what you need to do for this internship.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
So let me go to the chat box in case I missed anything. Okay, you guys are responding. Okay, if you are getting that rate limit error, I mean, it's always because of the either you have run out of your credit. Yeah, that's what it means. So you just need to go back to just go back to that open AI, that place I just left. Go to usage. You should see if you currently have some money or it has expired. So yeah, the error you're having is as a result of your this thing, your open AI, not you don't have any credit. That's just what it means. So according to your code documentation, we were told it's either we use present penalty or present penalty for both and the same applies to temperature and something. Why are you using these two in your code? It's either we use frequency penalty or presence penalty, not both. And that applies to temperature and self-pay. Why are you using these two in your code? I mean, they are parameters, so it being a parameter, first of all, means you can always use them at any point in time. Then you should also know that obviously they have two different meanings. They have two different meanings. So they have two different meanings. So you can decide to use both, or you can decide to go with one. But that shouldn't be an issue. All you can do is just implement it and see how different it looks. Yeah, just work on the both, then use one, then see what it does. Then you can decide if it's the two you want to use, or if it is just one you want to use. All right, I think that's all the question in the chat box. All right, so let's just go into it. Already our time is going. So the first example we want to look at here is the chain of thought prompting. So we want to, this is a tech, right? So we are importing our OpenAI, but we are going to install it, which I've done already. And yeah, this is how you set your key. So that key you create, this is where you're going to put it, right, in this place. So that will pick it up. Then this is the prompt. So this is what it's saying. What steps would someone need to take to improve their time management skills? So we are giving it the process it should take. Step one, they should start by assessing their current schedule, identify areas of improvement, setting plate or prioritizing. So now the question is, how can someone effectively eliminate distractions? So what we did here was we first of all gave it a thought process, right? The question and how the answer looked for this one. So and then we also gave it this one. So let's see what the result will look like. The engine, the prompt, the mark token, the temperature, stuff, all the stuff that I explained here. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to copy and stop here. And I'll just paste it below here. Yes, I've hidden my key. I already told you you need to hide it from the public. So that's me keeping a practical example of what I said. Yeah. So inside here is where I put in my API key. So already I've installed OpenAI API. You actually need to have the library locally, right? So you install it, then you import it. You set the key, that is this place. Then this is us giving it a prompt. So let's run it and see. Hold on. Looks like this code is not showing completely. It's not that much. Okay. All right. So it's now answering the second question you have. One way to eliminate distraction is to identify and remove potential source of distraction, such as turning off notification on an electronic device or finding a quiet workplace. Full stop. Then another one, it can be also helpful to set a specific time period for checking emails or social media and to communicate boundaries with others to minimize interruptions. That's like the second answer. Or it's giving you a process. Then additionally, practicing mindfulness and staying focused on one task at a time can help reduce distraction. So that's the response it's giving. And it gave us three outputs or three ways we can actually um effectively eliminate distraction, right? But then this is how chain of thought works. You give it or you give it how you want it to go, like you saw in the example in the slide, but this is us doing it practically. And this is the result it's returning. Then this is the parameters explained. Engine, already we know it's specifying the engine we want to use. The prompt equation or statement you give to the AI, the maximum tokens, the numbers of words or symbols the AI can use, temperature to adjust how predictable or surprising the response are. That is the randomness we've always talked about. Determines how many different responses we want the AI to generate at once. Let me set this to 2. So we set this to 2. Okay. And it keeps generating random different results. Fine. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with our model, but for some reason it just keeps stopping. Okay, does anyone have any question on this before we go into the next one? All right, I'll jump into the second question. This one has to do with few shot learning. Okay, so it has to do with few shot learning. So it's like you giving it, like we said in the slide, giving it an example. This is what I am looking for, or this is an example of what it should look like. And then it will go on to generate something that looks similar to what you've sent to it. So here are some examples of creative social media posts for product launch, unveiling the future. Our product is here, ready for a change, experience innovation, this, hashtag new beginnings. Now write a social media post for the launch of an eco-friendly car. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, sorry, and run it just below. Say goodbye to gas Gosling and hello to sustainability. Our new eco-friendly car is here to take you on a guilt-free ride. Hashtag green driving, sustainable living, eco-friendly cars. So you saw the results it generated. It also added an emoji because the sample you gave to it had an emoji. So it took the liberty of adding emoji to the caption it brought out. Okay. So let's see if we set this to 200. So you just added more hashtag. So yeah, this is how few shots work. You give it an example, then you ask it to create something that also looks similar to that. Do we understand? Does anyone have any question?
Yeah, sorry. The first example you demonstrated, isn't that also some stuff few shots um eh, sorry, a type of few shot learning? Because there were examples you delisted at
Yes,
first.
it's, yes, it is.
Okay.
You know,
So we making a distinction? Are we making a distinction between chain of thought prompting and few shots learning? Or are they the same thing?
no, they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. But this chain of thought is, yeah, it's just like you said, it's similar to future because already we've given it an example and an
Yes.
answer. Yeah. So, but then we are just literally telling it, okay, this is the question and these are the steps you need to take to achieve this. So yeah, we're giving it an example, but then again, we are specifying the chain of thought. This step is actually what makes it different because we've given it a process. So we are expecting the model, which for some reason it just keep misbehaving, to also generate something that looks similar to this, writing out the step. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes.
So let me just see if I can modify this.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can I just compliment what you said?
Yeah, you can, please.
All right. So I think what chain of thoughts also does is that you're giving it the structure of how you want it to answer your question. So you're telling it should give you in a step-by-step format, and it should structure it that way. Whereas if you just give it a few shots, it will answer you in the style it wants, but it understands your question. So the few shots helps it to understand your question very well, while the chain of thoughts gives it the format you want. Exactly.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, person that asked the question, is it clear?
Yes, yes, it's clear.
All right. So we're already running out of time. Still have more examples. So this one is demonstrating a clear set of code using this. What are we doing here? Define a complex prompt for the picture model. Explain the implications of intelligence in digital marketing. This is not related to what we are doing. Let me just see that as an example. Okay, yeah, this one looks interesting. Let's just use this one to because of time. All right, so this is us trying to play a role play. All right, so we are trying to demonstrate a role play scenario where the AI starts to generate response based on simulated conversation. Okay, so this type of prompt can particularly be beneficial in training customer service bot or preparing staff for real life interaction. So what are we doing? It's a role play prompt. As a customer service representative, your goal is to help resolve customer issues with empathy and efficiency. Below is the conversation between you, the representative, and the customer. Customer, I recently purchased a blender from your store, but it's not working as expected. It makes a lot of noise and sometimes doesn't turn on at all. So now this is, obviously we are telling the model that, okay, it's working. So it's saying, I'm really sorry to hear about your experience. Let's see how we can fix this problem. And the customer is like, thank you, I appreciate it. What do I need to do now? Then you now, we left that place empty. So let's see what the AI would generate as a response. And what we will say this one is it a chain of thoughts or a few short prompts?
I'll say it's a combination of both because yeah, because you've given the AI an example of the sort of response you want it to give, and you've also given it a structure of how you want the response to be. I don't know if you agree with me.
Does anyone have any different opinion? Okay. I agree with you. Yeah, because it has a structure, customer you. So that is like process, a structure. Okay, follow this format. Then it's been in that structure already. We are giving it an example. Customer said this is what the response is. So yeah, it's more like the combination of both. All right, so let's just run it and see what it will generate for us. Oh, oh, I thought I created. Okay, sorry, down here. Okay, so the are you seeing what it generated? So AI generated customer service response. That's what we put in the output here to print. So this is what it's saying it's going to respond to this play. First, I would like to apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused you. Can you please provide me with your order number so I can look into this order? That's the response it's saying. So it's now like, okay, this is what the customer said. Sure, it's hash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Then this is what it goes on to say. Thank you. I can see that the blender was purchased just a week ago. Since it's still under warranty, we can either replace it or send it for repair. Which option would you prefer? Then the customer is, I would like a replacement, please. So I didn't we did not limit it to just keep on going and going and going and going. Okay. Do we understand? Then just before I wrap up, someone made mention of us not using either the frequency penalty or the presence penalty. If you notice also how I arrange mine, one of them is always 0 and the other one has value, while the other one is 0, 0, the other one has value. And frequency penalty means there is no penalty for repeating words. That's setting it to 0, while presence penalty strongly encouraging the model to introduce new concepts and diversify the content, which can enhance creativity. If you set it to 0, it's just going to, let's say, be strict and focus on exactly what you pass in. But once you tune this above that 0, maybe 0.2, you're trying to tell it, okay, let it just be more creative and work on something with new words and new concepts, like it said here. So we've seen the role play, we've seen the response, and it looked interesting. So lastly, scenario-based training. The customer has received the damaged good and no return policy. The customer is asking for a discount on a bulk purchase. The customer received the wrong item and needs immediate replacement. So we want this model to act, right, as a customer service representative. So what what we want to look at is what it's going to respond to all these messages. And we are going to be doing a follow-up, which you have already. This model is out of date. I'm not going to, I can't change it there. So I'll just copy it there and paste it there. Then I'll change this. All right. So as a customer service representative, how would you handle the situation? So we're going to run this. So for each scenario, we're going to get a response. So for the first scenario, where the customer has received the damaged item and wants to know about the return policy, this is the generated advice from the AI. So it's saying you should apologize for the inconvenience, right? That's starting point. Ask for more information. Request for more details about the damage, such as when it was received, condition of the packaging, the extent the damage. Then explain the return policy. Then offer a replacement or refund based on the customer preference or offer. This is scenario 2. The customer is asking for a discount on a bulk purchase. So listen to the customer request, explain the company's policy, offer alternatives, then highlight the values of products and services. So these are just what the AI would do in those different scenarios. It's just giving you a process it to follow. Then customer receives the wrong item and needs an immediate replacement. So you to acknowledge the issue first, right? Apologize, show empathy, and let the customer know that that their concerns is being heard. Then ask for details, provide more details about the wrong item received. This will help understand the situation better and find a solution quickly. Then offer. So these are the different response. Hold on. That the AI would generate for those different scenarios. And this is what we used to close out for today. So I've shown you how to get your API key and how to use it in a code to do some transprompting, the train of thoughts, the few thoughts. Yeah.
I have a question.
It's going.
Yeah. About the tag along code, I want to ask that, are we just to implement the one that is listed in the question? You have the solution in another GitHub repository. There are more implementation there compared to what was listed on the question. I think there are just like 4 of them that we're expected to implement. So is it just we should restrict ourselves to the one that is found in the question that we have to write code on? We don't have to do everything that is in the GitHub that you set the solution in. I think do you understand my question?
Yeah, I understand your question. So that on the GitHub is just examples, as many as we can do for you to see and practice. The tag along, it's just the questions on the quiz. So you just, if before you're saying, just answer the four. You don't need to bring in any other thing that is outside the quiz.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I don't think I got what you answered. What the event was the one in the course? Is that the one we have to do? Or the one in the GitHub?
I
Tag
think is
along
that the
quiz.
one in the course?
Okay,
It's a
just
tag
the one
along
in the
quiz.
course.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Okay.
If I got you right, you're talking about the tag along quiz now, right? Tag
Yes,
along codes for the quiz.
yes,
Yeah, so
yes.
I think, or not I think, I know that there are codes you need to write when you're answering the quiz. So I think it's also different from probably the notebook that was attached for stage B. So that one is like an example for you to understand how it works. But then you inside the quiz you'll be answering, you see some codes you will need to quickly um write and answer the questions you had followed. You understand?
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
All right. Does anyone have any other question? This is where we draw the line for today. Aisha, Tanisha, Ridwan, any question?
You
Okay,
don't. You just answer the question.
okay, that's fine. So it's one more class to go. We are going to be looking at no what yeah, it's live coding session, but in our last class we'll be looking more of the ethical process involved when you're using all these models and AI. Then even also when you're creating them, the things you just need to take into consideration and stuff like that. So that's just me giving you a view of what we'll be looking at next, the ethical process and yeah, the bias and everything that involves when it comes to modeling. So we'll be looking at that in our last class. All right, so this is where we draw the line for today. Uh, I'll see you all on Friday. All right, bye everyone.
Bye.